Hello everybody, welcome to the Scratch tutorial. In this video, I'm going to set up a game that helps me to shoot a flying cat by means of a certain arrow. The arrow will diminish its size after I have pressed the spacebar, and it will fly to the sky. And I would like to see whether my arrow is able to hit the flying cat, which has a varying horizontal speed every time it travels from left to right. If I can hit the cat correctly, the score will be increased by 1, otherwise the cat will fly back to the left hand side when it travels to the far right hand side, and I just repeat the shooting action to gain as many marks as I can. Now let's see how I can play with this project. First, I have to choose another sprite rather than this default one. I want to use cat flying. And this cat size is a bit large. I've just turned it to about 60. And then I choose the backdrop. I want to use the blue sky. And then for this flying cat, I want to make a block that helps me to reset the position of this cat every time it travels from the left to the right of the screen. Reset cat. I want to set the Y position to be a random number so that the cat will fly from different vertical position every time it travels from the left. I want to set X to minus 240. Minus 240 means that it is already beyond the left hand side of the screen, so that it is not shown up yet. And after the position is set up correctly, I want to show the position of the cat. And after that, I want to do some other actions. When the flag is clicked, I really want to set up the position of the cat now by using the reset cat block. And since the game wants to record the number of successful hits, I really want to set up a variable. I call it a score, and this score variable applies to all the sprites. Okay, and then I set up a forever loop so that the cat will go forever from left to right. Now I want the horizontal speed of the cat to be varying every time it travels from left to right. That's why I will pick up a random number between 15 and 30, and the change follows that number. And then I would wait for 0.1 seconds every time the motion is set. What will really happen if the cat is really going to the far right end of the screen? In this case, I just want to set it up back to the left hand side of the screen. So 240 here means that the cat has already traveled to the far right. In this case, I reset the cat position using the reset cat block. Now I really want to allow some little space for the arrow to marginally touch the cat, so that I would like the arrow to have some little allowance of the distance between it and the cat, so that I would set up the 30 as the allowance size, and of course the distance to the object should be the arrow, not to the mouse pointer. So now I set up the arrow first. Now I have the arrow called arrow 1, and now I can choose arrow 1. So that the distance between this arrow and the cat can be as large as 30 units of length. In this case, the arrow really touches the cat, and I would like to change the score by 1, so that the game player will have 1 mark more than before. And I really want to notice the arrow that the arrow has already hit the cat, so that I have a variable to set now. Now I call this variable hit already, and it is for all the sprites. I want to change the hit already variable to 1, so it indicates that the arrow has already hit the cat. And then I hide the cat. After the hiding, I just reset the cat to the far left hand side of the screen. Now the cat is set. So how about the arrow? Let me show you my way now. Now I've already chosen the arrow 1 sprite. And you can understand that I really want to reset the arrow every time it has hit the cat. So I have to set up the block corresponding to this action first. And the approach is like this. I want to show the arrow. I want to set up the position of the arrow to be at the bottom, around here, okay? Since the arrow has already diminished its size in the course of its travel to the cat, when I want to reset the arrow, I have to return the size to 100%. Of course, I want to set up the hit already variable to 0, so that the game repeats. The arrow will not function if the spacebar is pressed, so that it flies from the starting position. Okay, when the key called space isn't pressed yet, the arrow would just point to the mouse pointer. Okay, when the arrow is really pressed, I really want to do the setup. Okay, let me try now. So you see, when the flag is pressed, the arrow is able to follow the cursor position. Okay. And then let me go to the more detail of the arrow. When the spacebar is pressed, I really want the arrow to fly from its starting position. And this process repeats until some condition. You see, I want to repeat the action of the flying arrow until it really hits the cat or it has already touched the edge, be it the left hand edge, the right hand edge, or the top edge. If the arrow hasn't hit any of the edges or the cat, I would like to move it by 20 units. Since the arrow will decrease its size in the course of its travel, I will just change the size by 4, which is a negative value here. and then I will wait for 0.05 seconds after each movement and shrink it of the size. If the distance between the arrow and the cat is less than 30 units, it means that the arrow has really hit the cat with some margin. Then I will just hide the arrow. And in this case, I would just say that the game is finished. I mean, at least for this round, the game is finished. And then I would like to broadcast this news to the cat flying sprite. I call this message finished. Of course, when the arrow knows that the game is finished, it has to reset the arrow again. And let me remind you something here. The hit already variable comes from another sprite, which is just the cat flying sprite. And let me see. Now let me try to play with this game by clicking on the flag. So you see when the flag is pressed, the arrow can follow the cursor position. So when I want to do the shooting, I just press the space bar. Oh, I find my bug. The bug is like that. The hide instruction should be just after the hitting directly. So I put the hide instruction here rather than the position shown here. Okay, so let me try to play with the game again. Now the arrow can follow the cursor, and when I press the space bar, the arrow can really leave its original position and it flies towards the cat. Yes, you see, when the cat is being hit, the arrow can return to its original position as well. The cat can fly from the left again rather than flying towards the right. Again, yes, you see, I have hit it for another time, and you can see that when the hit succeeds, the number of squares will increase by 1. So let me try once more. Yes, I can hit the cat again, so the scores becomes 4. Now, oh, I missed the cat. How about now? I also missed the cat. Now, oh, I can hit the cat. Because of the little allowance shown here, even though the size of the arrow is diminishing, I can still allow it to just touch the cat marginally, and I can still count it as a successful hit. So that is the major idea of the program. I set up the cat position from left to right, and its vertical position will vary every time it travels. And I want to set up a certain arrow so that it can follow the cursor movement, and when I press the spacebar, the arrow can fly and it will diminish its size, and I would like to see whether that arrow is able to hit the cat or not. If it is able to do so, I will increase the score by 1. This is the end of the video. If you have any questions about my video, please leave your questions on the comment section below the video. If you like this video, please give me a like and please subscribe to my channel. Thank you for watching.